Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back. Welcome back and welcome in. It is our November 2020 One Earth Global Awakening event. And we are so thrilled to be here and to hold this vibration across our planet. And it's just been an honor to have so many of you from all over the world tuning into this. This is absolutely the place to be right now because there's so much wildness everywhere else. So come on in here with us and really just hold space for a beautiful future and to be joyful in this present moment. And I am joyful in the present moment because I'm here with my dear, dear, dear friend and colleague, Suzanne Hunt.
I'm just so happy to be here with you today, Lisa, seeing your lovely face and being part of this creation that you're bringing to us with the One Heart, One Earth projects. It's just fabulous. And I am honored to be here.
Oh, I love you so much. And
I love you.
And I miss you. So I know we said that before when we were doing readings earlier this week, but God, we just have got to see each other. Hopefully we can soon. And
yes.
Geez, and there's so many new people in the community. So even though you are near and dear to Buddhist Biohacker and OHO, I thought it'd be great for you to just share a little bit about yourself. I will tell everyone that Sue is one of our monthly contributors for One Heart, One Earth for our online magazines. You can find all of her articles at oneheartoneearth.net. Go to articles. Obviously, her presenter page is up, and I made an announcement this morning. I'm going to keep all of the presenter pages open through November 30th. So you guys are going to have this entire month to continue to watch these presentations and to soak in all this love and high vibration. So anyways, Sue, you want to share about you?
Yeah, so my name is, many people call me Sue, but my name is Suzanne Hunt, and I am a clairvoyant and a healer and a spiritual teacher. And I'm a spiritual teacher and I'm a minister for the Church of Infinite Spirit. And so I came into my true self, if you will, maybe about 15 years ago when I learned to meditate. And what happened is I realized prior to that time that I was kind of a mess. And when I learned to manage my energy better, recognize my boundaries energetically, stay grounded and stay aware and tuned into myself, that I was able to start turning my life around and start going the direction that I really wanted to go. And so I spent a number of years on a journey to build out to take many classes. I attended 3 clairvoyant schools here in Colorado, and I created a toolbox of energy tools that I use with my clients and myself. And so, so that's been my journey of spiritual healing and learning to work with folks in a clairvoyant healing. And so more recently, I am teaching meditation classes with Althea's Center for Spiritually Engaged. And so the meditation classes are really about healing yourself, learning to use these energy tools that I have been developing. I know not everybody, some people do want to go down a clairvoyant path, but other folks may want to just learn to have these tools from themselves. And so that's what the class is about, opening your intuition and using these tools. And I'm also teaching, or will be teaching, at the Ajatakasa Spiritual Institute that Lisa is hosting next year. And I'm very excited to be a part of that. And I'm going to be teaching some clairvoyant classes, 3 clairvoyant classes on how to touch in, connect with that part of yourself, how to exercise and tune and tone the intuitive center. And then I'm going to be teaching 3 classes later on, I think it's in June, where we're looking at spiritual anatomy and how to clear energy from the physical body and what kind of energy lives in the glands and in the organs, and how can we tune that up and give ourselves a clearing so that we can release energy that no longer supports. So
I love that. And yeah, the Light Warrior program is just incredible, you guys. And I've got the information up on the screen. We're still in early enrollment pricing, and it's a really great deal for an entire year of support. So if you go to the Ajatakasa Institute at ajatakasa.com and click on Light Warrior, you'll get all of the information. We have many different ways you can access this information. And there's a video on there with the entire faculty. Julie Hoyle, Marlena Leonard, Julie Ware, Cheryl Garcia, Suzanne, myself. It's just really beautiful. So if you guys are looking for support, there is that. I think we're going to do some kind of call very soon for that as well, if you're interested. So I'm glad you brought that up, Sue. So anyways.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Yeah. So what I'd like to talk about today is my topic for the November Awakening was all about honoring your true self and from a healing energy perspective. And so what I thought we could talk about today is some different ways we can honor ourselves. And I put some, you posted out there for me how some different ways we can look at the energy in our chakras. So on the pre-recorded video, I talk about the various chakras. There's the 7th chakra at the top of our crown, the 6th chakra in the center of our head, the 5th chakra at the throat. And so I'd like to talk about these different chakras, what kind of energy we can create to honor ourselves, and also what kind of energy lives there that we can be aware of, that we can release to honor ourselves and to release what doesn't support, to be moving along in our spiritual path and to feel our best. So if that sounds like a good place to go.
Yeah, we need it. We need it too.
Okay. Yes, we do. So if we start with, unless you have something else to say, should I go ahead and
No,
get
you
started?
can jump on in. And the only thing I'll say is I invite you guys who are joining in the live to share your comments and also ask your questions as Sue's going along. And I can share those questions with her and we'll get those answered for you. So, but yeah, Sue, I say dive on in.
Okay. So if you looked at the video, it's great. You'll have some background. If you haven't, that's okay, because I'm going to talk about it and explain it here. So when we talk about our crown chakra, that is at the top of the head, and that chakra is a little spinning vortex that points upward. And the chakras, if you're not familiar with them, are really energy centers in the body that hold the vibrations, the memories, the thoughts, the awarenesses and the experiences, the hopes and the dreams, and all of the concepts for different areas of life. For example, the crown chakra is all about our personal truth. What feels right for us, what we believe in. The sixth chakra in the center of our head, briefly, is our intuitive center, and also our place of clarity for our clarity for our personal wisdom, but also our intuitive clarity. The 5th chakra here at the throat center is our communication space, and also our space of expression and freedom. The heart chakra in the chest area is the center for our relationship space, mostly our relationship space with ourselves. And so it has our self-esteem, our identity. And the 3rd chakra, just in that upper abdomen, the little space there at the V, in our just below the V in the rib cage, is our power center. And how it's the space or the energy that we have for creating what we want and manifesting what we want in the physical world. And then, of course, our 2nd chakra in the lower abdomen is our emotional center. And for a lot of us who are intuitive, it's also an intuitive space where we can sense what's going on for someone else. And then in the very base of the spine, pointing downward, is our first chakra, which is our relationship to our body. So that was just kind of an overview. So if we were talking about our personal truth and our spiritual awareness, how can we validate that more easily and more adeptly? And what I want to say is sometimes we have distractions. We have distractions or busyness, and we're taught that someone else has better answers for us. And so I think we've all experienced time in that, our mothers and our fathers, people around us, maybe it's a partner, husband, or someone has, has influenced us and given us a sense of what they think is right. Religious influence is huge in here and can have a weight in what we think is our truth. And so when we honor ourselves, we can start to listen. Well, what is my truth? What's right for me? And we can create that by creating time alone for ourselves, by setting an intention to receive, and letting our heart vibrate the answers. So, lots of ways that we can start to honor our own truth by recognizing what spiritual information is really ours and separating out what isn't. So, and so some of the things we can do are meditation, yoga. I know you teach yoga, Lisa.
Yeah.
Breath work. Breath work is fabulous to kind of help us get within, get inside. Laughing and smiling can open up the crown chakra, and I wanted to invite people on that are attending to maybe as we go along suggest what areas of their spirit or their spiritual truth, their chakra vibrations, if you will, are more easier for them to honor and which ones are more challenging as we go along. One thing that we can do if we want to clear the crown chakra, I thought I would give a little bit of a little tool while we're here on the class today, is if we find ourselves distracted and we're having a hard time being engaged, we're having a hard time connecting with truth, maybe we're having a hard time making a decision, one of the things we can do is to do a little clearing on our crown chakra. And so I'd like to teach that today. Um, so one thing we can do is be in a quiet space, but maybe we'll try it together today and see what people will have a sense of it, is we can just close our eyes. If you're in a meditation space, that's all the better. But you could close your eyes and you can imagine this space above your head. It's the crown chakra, but you don't really have to have a visual for that. What you can do is just imagine that the top of your head is going to change through a rainbow of colors. So you might imagine, and let's try it together. Imagine that the top of your head is red, just for a moment. There's some red energy on the top of my head.
Mm.
And then we might change it to blue. There's some blue energy on the top of my head. Just imagine that red space turning to blue, and then the space of red and blue energy, maybe let that change to yellow. So I'm vibrating yellow on the top of my head, and then maybe shifting that to be green, green on the top of my head. And then just notice these colors. What these colors do is as we sift through and shift the vibration on the top of our head to a different color, kind of rapidly as we can, and then maybe end up with gold, notice that what that does for you when you want to kind of recognize what's true for you. And notice if that has a great way of clearing off other people's influences on us and their influences on what they would like for us. Nice. Does anybody in the chat have a thought of if that's giving you a sensation of clearing your crown? The colors will tend to pick up colors of other people who want to influence us or who have, or other colors of vibrations that aren't ours, and help us to kind of clear those out.
Yeah, I mean, I needed that. So that felt really good. I liked it. And yeah, anybody, if you guys want to comment and share what you're feeling, we have a slight delay in here, I think, Sue. So I'll let you know if somebody shows up here with some comments. But yeah, that felt good to me. Oh my gosh.
Great. And another area I'd like to go into is into the sixth chakra. We did the little readings the other day, and a lot of people were asking about how can I connect into my truth? How can I get my answers? How can I come into my intuitive wisdom? We were talking a lot about our gifts. So one of the things we can do in the center of our head is realize that what is blocking our intuitive information. So often it's stress. It might be fear about what the answers might be, fear about getting the right answer. And more often than not, when I'm working with clients and students, there's this inclination to compare myself with someone else. Well, someone else is getting some great information, or I know Lisa or Sue have wonderful intuitive gifts, but I certainly don't have that. So we compare ourselves with others, and then we find fault with what we have or what gifts we have for ourselves. So, and sometimes we have an expectation about what intuition or clairvoyant information will look like. So, if we have an expectation, then that creates an energy that is hard to match. So, if we can release the expectation that someone else has better information, then that kind of helps to open and clear the way for our own messages to come through. Because when we teach clairvoyance, we learn that everybody gets a little bit of different information. And so often we have this idea, well, it's got to look like this. And you probably know for yourself, Lisa, that the information you get uh, looks like what no one else has. Lisa and I could sit down to read the same person, and we would get very different information, maybe different shades of that color, maybe different shades of information, different aspects of where that person's going. And but that's because we're individuals and we all get, individualized information.
Yep. And we've got some comments coming in here. So Marlena says, yes, that was awesome. Eve says, surprising how each color created different sensations. And Carrie says, goodness, exclamation point, thank you. I just asked for opening to be generous with my fellows. The meditation made my high heart sing with joy and a feeling of freedom from the negative thoughts I had been having.
Oh, wonderful.
So
Lovely.
wonderful.
So glad to hear that. So the little clearing on the crown, and then for our intuition, just recognizing that our information is going to look different. And another thing I'd like to share, a thought I'd like to share about that, is that learning to trust our intuition. So trusting is the vibration we want to bring into our clarity. And trusting our intuition is something that's learned. Some people have a natural gift and they show up. Maybe they had a previous past life where they were a healer or a clairvoyant or a psychic. So they may come in with that information already vibrating. But many of us have had experiences where we were taught that, what we see intuitively isn't correct or doesn't have any value, or that the concrete world has much more value than the intuitive. And so learning to trust is like building a muscle. When I work with students, the more we trust, the more we trust. is what I like to say, because as we take a leap out and try on trusting our intuitive information, then we learn to recognize what it is. It's typically a softer, it's typically more subtle than we ever imagine it to be. It's like riding a bicycle. You don't stand by a bicycle and expect that you're going to, just know how to ride it. You're going to get on and you're going to test it out and you're going to learn how it feels. You're going to learn how you individually feel when you're riding down the street on that bike. And so that's and another piece of information that I'd like to share about intuition is getting a little sunlight. We did some presentations earlier this year, and I'll just capture a few thoughts. Getting natural sunlight into our eyes vibrates the pineal gland, which is associated with our intuition, and sleep.
I hate to interrupt you, but I love that you're saying that because I have a really hard time wearing sunglasses. Like,
Oh.
and I have really light blue eyes, and so they are sensitive to light. But when I go hiking or biking outside, I purposefully don't wear sunglasses. I want the natural light. Like, I feel like that's really important. There's a lot of science behind it in the biohacking community, but what you're saying just is so good because it just validates, that need to get that natural sunlight through my eyes and to get my pineal gland. It probably helps clear it too, I'm guessing.
Yes, I would say helps to clear. The sunlight is such a natural healing energy. So yes, thank you. So natural sunlight in the eyes and sleeping in complete darkness can be a really great way to make sure that our pineal gland is healthy. And then also one more piece of information about opening our intuition is, the space here in the third eye, right behind, it's like the old diagrams you see where the eye opens up from the center of the head. That is our intuitive space. So just having our awareness there, and I teach a little bit about this in classes, and I will be at the ajatakasa as well, that when we just have our awareness behind our eyes and a little bit above our ears, it starts to activate that space. So, so that's great, a great way to open it up. So just checking to see if we have any questions. If not, I'll move on to talk about the communication center and the self-expression.
Okay. Yeah. If you guys have questions throughout this, throw them in here in this chat box as we go, and I'll be able to share them. And yeah, let's talk about that community, that throat chakra. I'm working that sucker this week.
Yes, you are. So, a common blockage in the throat chakra is, I don't feel heard, or I don't feel like people want to hear me. Or sometimes we might have fear of rejection. So speaking our truth, when the goal or the vibration that we want to have to honor our fifth chakra in our communication space is to freedom is the vibration. So we want to feel that freedom to be able to express what's our truth. And I personally have had over my lifetime some struggles working my fifth chakra. I learned from an early time in my child that maybe people didn't want to hear me, and I built relationships and had a lot of energy in my life come up so that I could clear that. And now, when in the space I'm in today, and I look back on where I was, I realized that I've done a lot of healing work on my fifth chakra. And one of the things I've learned about fifth chakra communication and this hesitancy to share who we are with others is that we may have, especially the empaths, the empathic you in the audience who are empathic, we might pick up that somebody maybe doesn't want to hear if we have a tough conversation that we need to bring up.
Yeah, Sherry says, I'm very empathic, and so I have a hard time separating what is mine and what isn't.
Yes, yes. And that's
Hmm.
pretty common for empaths. And so we might be picking up, well, my husband, I need to talk to him about this issue because we need to clear the air. And sometimes that feels challenging. And we kind of meet with their energetic resistance. And but but moving through the resistance to share our truth starts to open the doors. And one of the gifts of moving through that energy, taking the courage to just speak our truth in a loving and graceful way, is that as we show more of who we are, we express more of who we are in our relationships, it gives the other person more freedom to do the same. And when we can be real in our relationships, when we can say what we need to say and open the conversation in our relationships, then it creates more intimacy. So, because I've noticed this for myself, when I look at if I'm having a conflict with my partner, and if I'm in the early stages of our relationship, I was a little reluctant to come up and bring up topics that I knew he wasn't going to be welcome to, but I knew in my heart of hearts that I needed to step forward to preserve our relationship. So, so as I moved through that energy and we cleared the air, um, I noticed that instead of looking at him when the energy block was there, I would look at him and I would see I felt angry. I felt the energy there. But after we talked and cleared the air, after I communicated what was going on for me, then that was no longer present in our space. So I could say the things I needed to say, and he could say the things he needed to say, and we could clear those differences, and we could bring that harmony and that love back into the space of our communication. So I guess I'm trying to say that it's worth it to take the courage and to move through these energies. Um, some ways we can start clearing energy out of our fifth chakra is journaling is a great way. Of course, meditation, um, sharing with a trusted friend. And we can open our throat chakra with humming, with singing. Um, there's a lot of ways to open up that throat chakra, and the opening the throat chakra also helps to calm the body. Just looking to see some of the comments.
Yeah, there's so many great comments and compliments about how amazing you are, isn't she?
Thank you, thank you. Um, so thank you. Oh yes, I'm going to be working with Heather in a little while. I'm very excited for that. That's delightful. And Anna, thank you for your nice comments. Um, And Heather is saying, I've learned recently that what I have struggled with for my own life is empathic gifts that were shut down as a child. Yes, and there's so many of us that have those kinds of experiences because and I think with the work that Lisa's doing on the awakenings and all the summits this year, bringing spiritual information and bringing us together as a community, and others like her have helped so much. But there's a lot of energy in the world that we're struggling against, a lot of energy out there that says, that's just silly or there has no basis. So I think you're absolutely right. And when we can learn to manage our energy and work with that empathic energy, the empathic energy is really the gift for our intuition and our spiritual knowingness and our spiritual wisdom. So we don't want to close it down. We want to work with it and develop it, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And Heather, lovely. Another comment. My mother shut me down, and I am learning to let go of the shame that was created instead use the gift for good. Fabulous. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So bravo for you. And it's not easy working our stuff.
No.
Working our stuff isn't easy. So I congratulate you, and I'm honored to be working with you this afternoon. Let's see, anything else? How are we doing on time? If we're good?
We're good. You still got
Okay.
time. I hope
So,
everybody's learning a lot because I am. I think, Sue, you're one of the most knowledgeable. This is why you're part of the Light Warrior program, because there's like no one better to teach all the inner workings of all of this. I just love it.
oh, thank you, Lisa.
Mhm.
So the next vibration is here in the energy center, I should say. It's right here in the center of the chest. And so this is our relationship space. It's our relationship space with other people, but it's also the relationship we have with ourselves. So, and one thing that kind of gets set aside is particularly with all of us that are healers and empaths and other people who we've been taught that putting other people first is really, even um, the Christian teachings are, to love others and to put other people first. And but what I want to speak to today is that we really need to honor ourselves first before we can bring that honor into our relationships. Because our relationship space with ourselves is really a reflection and reflects into the relationships we have with others. So energy blocks in the fourth chakra or the relationship space can be self-criticism, old pain and regrets. Those little those energies, those thoughts we have about the failures or the things that went wrong, we all have them. But until we can forgive ourselves for those things that happen to us, have compassion for ourselves for what we experienced, and let them go and forgive ourselves, that is when we can open up our heart center. That is when our relationship space begins to really blossom. And we bring that blossoming into our relationships. So we really can't change what happened before. The only thing we can change is now. So loving ourselves better, um, honoring ourselves better, having more compassion for who we are is the wonderful way to open up our relationship space. Um, so I want to mention. Let's see if we have some questions.
Yeah, Heather has a good question. She says, what would be your top 1 or 2 tips for learning how to identify what energy I am feeling is mine versus someone else's and how to send that energy back?
Wow, that's big. That's a
It is
great
big.
question.
I use a gauge. Do you use a gauge too? Do you have
Yes,
like a
yes.
gauge? I do too. Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about the gauge because that's actually an awesome way, and I'll be teaching this in the classes on either either platform that you'd like to join. So one thing we can do is we can pretend we see a gauge. So the first thing to do for Heather and all of you is to identify what is the energy I want to look at. Um, let's say we want to know what energy isn't mine. Maybe we're feeling, we might not know what it is. It might be very nebulous, and we can work with it that way. But if we happen to know that, and maybe I'm working with shame, was it Heather or somebody else mentioned shame?
There's a couple
Or
people in here that have, so.
maybe that's a good one. How much of the shame really belongs to me? Or how much of it belongs to someone else? Maybe it's a mother or a friend or another family member. What we can simply do is in our quiet space, we might do the crown shifting to kind of clear our energy on our crown, so and then leave it at gold, a high vibration, and then just imagine a little gauge. It might be like a thermometer, or it might be the round kind, or maybe just a digital. Just quickly imagine that the gauge will show you how much energy of that energy isn't yours and um, how much isn't yours. So you see a number, maybe it's 70%, maybe it's 20%, whatever that number is. And if you want to do this together, we can.
Yeah.
Pick a vibration, pick a vibration or something that you're just so you have something in mind to kind of focus in on what you'd like to work on. And then let your gauge come up and imagine what the gauge has on it. See a number. I'll just give folks a moment. And then what you can do is you can imagine that that gauge has a grounding cord growing from the bottom of it. It's just like a little tube or a little shaft of light that grows from the bottom of the gauge all the way down to the center of the earth. And then just imagine, let's say you got 55% shame that you have in your space isn't yours. Imagine you can just tap that gauge down a little bit with your imaginary finger. Maybe it can go from 55 to 50. Maybe it'll go down to 45, or maybe down to 40, or maybe 38. Just see how far it will go naturally, because the energy, you want to just do a healing for exactly how much your body is willing to release right now. We never want to force or push any kind of energy work. Let it be organic. Let it be natural for what's right for you. So if you moved your gauge down, and the grounding cord on the gauge will release the energy out of your space, and as well as out of the gauge. So the gauge is like a container that is showing you the energy level and showing you the healing that you're able to do for yourself. Did anybody get a number?
Oh yeah. What does your gauge look like, Sue? Mine is a submarine gauge, and I don't even know what that means or why it is. I've never been on a submarine, but I do see this like old submarine gauge that goes from 0 to 100. And I was asking about the energy, the weird energy of yesterday and what that's all about. And my gauge said it was only 20% mine. And so when I tapped it, it kind of just drained out. It was like, okay, it's not in your field anymore kind of thing. So that was kind of interesting. Sherry said she got 35%.
Awesome.
And yeah, so good.
I got 15% for Heather. Good deal. So congratulations on your healings. And another thing I want to talk about that we'll be talking about in the classes too, but I'll just touch on it. Some of you, I think, are pretty aware already about energy and can probably have this. But when we talk about energy that's ours versus someone else's, for the scenario, let's just talk about shame, since that was a big one for folks. And so maybe I'm feeling shame, and maybe that shame came from experiences with my mother or whomever it might be in your life. And the reason that we look at that as not being our energy, because as spirit, we don't have that shame. The shame is what we're trying to grow and away from and slough off. And maybe our mothers, bless their hearts, may have been working with their own energy. And sometimes it's so easy to be in a situation, maybe our mothers are just being themselves and trying to deal with life as it came to them. And so they may intentionally, but more often than not, they may unintentionally pass along their shame pictures to us, and as in their interactions with us. So we pick up energy that belongs to other people so easily and so naturally. So starting to look at what's mine and what isn't mine is a beautiful way to get started on self-healing. So thank you so much for that question, Heather. Let me just look at what you typed. So sending the energy back, we did that with the gauge. There's probably other ways to do that. Shifting the crown, we'll start to, and there's lots of ways to do healing, but that's an easy one we could teach in a format like this, where we kind of bring our crown energy back to our own vibration, whatever color that is. I like to flip through the colors and then end in gold, and then pick a color that feels right for you for your day, and then just let the crown vibrate at that. So, so that we can be in our truth. And then when we're in our crown chakras, our own truth, it's easier for us to recognize what's going on. what's happening in my world. Awarenesses, intuitive awarenesses come in, and we might think about something that, oh, I'd forgotten, what happened, and I can let that go. Here's a comment from Heather. I've been told recently that there's no way to completely block my mother's energy, only lightly mute it because I came from her body. Thoughts on that? She is my primary shame and energy guilt pusher. Well, that's an interesting way to look at it. Here is how I would define. Let me see how I can explain that. Here's how I would define a process of growth. So initially, just throwing out an example, initially we're looking at how much shame I'm working with my mother or whomever it would be. And I start to work my energy and I get healing and I become more aware. Maybe I'm using my gauge or other tools to release energy and to be in awareness. Thoughts are energy. When we can be in awareness about, oh, that's my mom's thought, let me let that go. So we're on our journey to clear our energy and move away from dynamics and patterns and painful memories. And what I would say is an ideal nirvana, if you will, in that space would be that the energy becomes neutralized. Our mother is a part of our fabric of our history and our world. And my truth is that we chose our parents for learning, to come here and learn. And even if that feels painful, we can kind of be with, what am I learning from a parent from these painful experiences? Maybe I had previous lifetimes where I wanted to come in and really break through the shame. But at the nirvana space, I would say, would be when that energy of shame no longer has a hot button. It no longer affects me, but it just becomes my wisdom. It becomes my spiritual wisdom about something that happened. It's just something that happened. It's no longer affects me, makes me upset. I no longer feel it. One of mine is helplessness, would you believe? So helplessness from some early dynamics in my life. And so every once in a while, I might find myself thinking something, man, I really can't. I'm feeling kind of low in a low moment. And I just have to, oh, that's my helplessness picture. Let that go, and it's gone immediately because I've worked that energy. So it still may be there in a very framework for you and for all of us, those things that we're moving through in this lifetime. But they can become just our spiritual wisdom, just what happened, and it no longer has that hold on us or that hot button or that grip on us, if you will, that control.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Heather. What a beautiful messages today. Thank you for being here.
Really, such a great audience. You guys are so fabulous.
What a wonderful time.
It's all you, Sue. You're just you always hold such a loving space for all of us. I could just listen to you all day.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Well, we talked about the upper chakras. We could talk a little bit about permission in the third chakra, emotions in the second chakra, or body, accepting our body in the first chakra. If anybody has something they'd like to look at, maybe we can talk about one more briefly.
Yeah, we got time. We got a few minutes left.
Let's see. How about we have a lot of women on. Let's talk about body images. Women, we really struggle with our body images. And so the way we really honor our body is by accepting our body. Lock, stock, and barrel, just as it is. Sometimes this part might be too big. This part might be too small. That part might be, maybe we've had illnesses or health issues, and we tend to body bash a little bit. Oh, how come I have this issue going on? And we punish ourselves because this is happening. And what I would invite folks to do is to let go. Notice, first of all, thoughts are energy. Notice when we are comparing ourselves to others. Notice when we are thinking that we should look like some media image in a magazine. Or notice when thoughts come up about what someone said. I mean, I had some things that my older half brother said to me when I was about 13 that stuck for a long time. You're looking pretty fat or something, he said. And I'm like, that was horrifying. But, notice when those voices come up and just let them go. So we honor our body kind of like we do, similar to the fourth chakra that we talked about. It's just loving our body and accepting it for just who we are, just what it is. When we accept our body, then we can appreciate our body. It really validates who we are in the planet. And, that energy projects out into the world. When we walk into a room, the sense of presence that we have really is how we identify with our body. And if you think of an example, let's say you've got a person who has a maybe in a wheelchair, has a physical disability, and maybe there's two people that have a physical disability. Maybe one person rolls into the room and they're aware, they're self-conscious about what's happening when they're in the wheelchair, or about how they present themselves. That energy projects out into the world, where another person might have a very similar kind of an experience, but they've worked through that body image and they project enthusiasm and joy, and they're inviting, their faces are glowing. You might find that you're looking at that person and you're having interest in them, and you're not even noticing the disability. So the way we feel about our body does project out into the world, and the more we love our body and appreciate the journey that it has brought us through this lifetime, it shows up. We wake up every day. It takes us throughout our day into all the things that we choose to do that day. So it's a wonderful part of who we are. If we can just love ourselves a little better, then that would be a great thing to do.
Oh, Sue, that's like the best way to end. I love that. Oh my gosh. Well, share with everybody what you're offering and how they can get in touch with you, because I know they're going to want to, and some folks in this audience already are, of course.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of information on my website, www.energetichealingarts.com. And my classes will be out there as soon as we get my classes for Althea are there. And as soon as we have more promos and things, I'll put the ajatakasa out there. And you can also follow me on Facebook. Facebook, I'm at Create Possibility. And what's my Instagram is energetic.healing.arts. And let's see, on the website, I publish a spiritual newsletter once a month that also has lots of exciting things that are happening on the spiritual front every month, whether it's the beautiful events that Lisa's creating, or classes I'm teaching, or I publish the body, mind, and spirit events that they're having, and whatever else is coming up. And so if you want to sign up for the newsletter, if you're not already getting it, and I'm offering 20% off your reading and healing this month through the 30th of November. And you can go to my website and click for a reading and use the promo code AWAKEN. AWAKEN. Just type that in when you get out to Acuity. That's the scheduler. And type that in, and then you can get 20% off your reading and your healing.
I love it, which is a deal. And Sue's presentation is on oneheartoneearth.net. You can find all of the information on the Light Warrior program at ajatakasa.com. Just click on the Institute, and then you can click on Become a Light Warrior. We have all sorts of information on there. Again, we have early enrollment through the end of this month. And Sue, I just love you, and we'll figure out a time to see each other in person soon.
Yes, I would love that. Oh, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming on and for your wonderful comments and engagement. It was great to see people trying out the little exercises. And we'll see you soon.
Yeah, for sure. We'll be back in 6 minutes with Cairo. Cairo Rocha is going to be with us talking about 8 keys to happiness. So I think that's
awesome.
really lovely too. I know, and he's so great. So I will see you guys in mere moments.
Blessings,
All right, bye,
everyone.
guys.
Bye-bye.